What are the 25 things golfers get wrong with their driver? And how do you fix them fast enough to see results this weekend? That question gets asked under different titles every week on Golf YouTube, and most of the answers are 3 minutes of generic advice stretched across a 12-minute video. I went through my own swing fault log from the last 6 years, which is a notebook I keep in the bag along with my handicap log, and I cross-referenced what my last 3 teaching pros told me in lessons with what shows up most often on the Golf WRX driver subforum. The same 25 mistakes appear over and over. Stay until the end because the 25th mistake is the one I think costs amateurs more strokes than the other 24 combined, and it has nothing to do with your swing. Quick framing before I start. The single idea behind every fix on this list is the same. A driver is the most position-sensitive club in your bag because it has the longest shaft, the lowest loft, and the highest swing speed. A mistake that costs you 2 yards with a 7-iron costs you 18 yards with a driver. The error gets multiplied by the math. Fix the setup mistakes first because they make the swing mistakes worse. Fix the swing mistakes next. Then fix the equipment mistakes because no swing change survives a club that does not fit you. I am going to walk through all 25 in 5 groups, and most of them you can apply on the next range bucket. The first group is the 5 setup mistakes that build a bad shot before you even take the club back. Mistake 1, gripping the driver too tight. Most amateurs grip a driver at roughly an 8 out of 10 pressure, about the grip strength you use to open a stuck jar. Tour pros grip at roughly a 4 to 5 out of 10, about the pressure of holding a tube of toothpaste without squeezing it. The cost of the overgrip is real and measured. A 2017 Sam Snead Foundation study reported on Golf Digest showed that excessive forearm tension reduces club head speed by 8 to 12 miles per hour in the average amateur swing. 8 to 12. That is 25 to 35 yards of carry distance lost to white knuckles. The fix takes one breath. Before you start your takeaway, exhale and let your hands soften. You will feel like you might drop the club. You will not. Mistake 2. Standing too close to the ball. The cramped setup is one of the most common driver faults, and it is invisible to the golfer making it. When you are too close, your arms have no room to swing on plane, which forces them to lift up and away in the takeaway, which sets up an over-the-top downswing path. The fix is a closed fist. Set up to the ball, then check that the heel of the driver fits exactly one closed fist between the butt of the grip and your front thigh. One fist, roughly 4 inches, about the length of a tape measure case. Less than that and you are too close. More than that and you are too far. Mistake 3. Ball positioned in the middle of your stance. This is the single most common amateur driver mistake by a mile. The driver is the only club in your bag designed to be hit on the upswing, which means the ball must be positioned forward enough that the club is already rising when it makes contact. Center of stance ball position kills the upward angle of attack and adds roughly 4 to 5 degrees of negative attack angle, which converts roughly 1,000 RPM of unwanted backspin onto the ball. That extra spin balloons your drives and costs you 20 to 30 yards of carry. The fix is the inside of your lead heel, not center, not slightly forward. The inside of your lead heel, period. If you are right-handed, that is the inside of your left heel. The ball aligns with the seam on the inside of that shoe. Mistake 4. Teeing the ball at iron height. This is a setup mistake disguised as an equipment habit. Most amateurs tee a driver about an inch above the ground, which is roughly the height for hitting a 3-wood off the deck. That tee height forces a downward strike on a club designed for an upward strike. The correct tee height for a driver is the entire ball sitting above the crown of the club head at address, which means the top of the ball is at roughly 1.5 inches above the ground, about the height of a stack of 2 poker chips. You should be able to set the driver flat on the ground next to the tee and see the ball clearly above the top edge of the club. If you cannot, the tee is too low. Mistake 5. Setting up with shoulders open to the target. Open shoulders preload an out-to-in swing path before the takeaway even starts. The slice is built into your address position. The fix is the alignment stick on the ground at your toes, plus a second alignment stick across the top of your shoulders. Most amateurs aim their feet correctly, and then forget that their shoulders need to match. A club fitter in Phoenix once told me that 75% of the driver swings he sees on the launch monitor have shoulders open by 6 to 10 degrees relative to the foot line. 6 to 10 degrees of open shoulders, about the angle of a slightly tilted picture frame, is the same as aiming 20 yards left of your target. That covers setup. The next group is the swing mistakes that happen between the takeaway and the top. Mistake 6. trying to swing as hard as possible. Maximum effort produces maximum compensation. The launch monitor data on this is consistent across years of MyGolfSpy testing. Amateurs hitting at 100% effort produce smash factors, which is ball speed divided by club speed, in the range of 1.38 to 1.42. Amateurs hitting the same swing at 85% effort produce smash factors of a force to 148, which is tour-level efficiency. The slower swing actually produces more ball speed at the same level of effort because the contact gets better. I avoided believing this for years. I tested it on a TrackMan session 3 winters ago. My 95% swing carried 248 yards. My 85% swing carried 252 yards, same swing. Less effort, more distance. Mistake 7, trying to keep the head perfectly still. Every teaching pro since the 1950s has told amateurs to keep their head still. The advice is half right. The head should not sway laterally during the swing, but it must move slightly back, about 2 to 3 inches, roughly the length of a credit card, during the backswing to allow proper shoulder turn and weight transfer. A static head equals a restricted turn equals a power loss. If you stare at the back of your golf ball and try to freeze your head in place, you are restricting your shoulder turn by 15 to 20 degrees, which costs you a measurable amount of clubhead speed. Your teaching pro is not wrong about head stillness in principle. He is wrong about the literal interpretation. Mistake 8, reverse pivoting. This is the killer. A reverse pivot means your weight ends up on your lead foot at the top of your backswing instead of your trail foot. The result is a steep, over-the-top downswing that produces either a weak slice or a fat shot. At the top of a proper backswing, roughly 70 to 80% of your weight should be on your trail foot, with your trail leg feeling like a loaded spring. The fix is to feel your trail knee pressing slightly outward at the top of the backswing, which forces weight into the trail glute. I had a reverse pivot for 8 years before a teaching pro pointed it out. The fix took 3 weeks. The 8 years of damage took longer to undo than I want to talk about. Mistake 9. Casting the club from the top. Casting means releasing the angle between your lead arm and the club shaft too early in the downswing, which burns swing speed before impact. Tour pros maintain a roughly 90-degree angle between lead arm and shaft until their hands are at hip height in the downswing, then release it. Amateurs typically release the angle within the first foot of the downswing, which is why they have club speeds in the 85 to 95 miles per hour range, while tour pros have club speeds in the 110 to 120 miles per hour range with similar physical strength. The casting move feels powerful because you are throwing the club, but throwing wastes the angle. The fix is to feel your lead arm pulling the club down for the first half of the downswing, with your wrist staying passive until your hands pass your trail thigh. Mistake 10. Hanging back on the trail foot through impact. The reverse problem to the reverse pivot. Some amateurs load correctly at the top and then fail to transfer weight forward through impact, which produces high pop-ups and weak fades. At impact, roughly 80 to 90% of your weight should be on your lead foot. Your trail heel should be coming off the ground, your belt buckle should be facing left of target, and your chest should feel like it is over the ball. If you feel like you are falling backward through impact, you are hanging back. The fix is the step drill. Take your normal address, then physically step your trail foot forward 6 inches as you start your downswing. Sounds gimmicky, it works. This is the part I want you to think about for a second before I keep going. Most amateurs' driver problem is one big swing flaw. The truth is that 25 small mistakes stack on top of each other, and the cumulative effect is a 30-yard slice into the trees on the first tee. Fix 1 and you might gain 4 yards. Fix 5 and you gain 25 yards. Fix all of them and you are a different golfer with the same swing. The math compounds. The next group is the 5 impact and follow-through mistakes that happen at the bottom of the swing. Mistake 11, sliding hips laterally instead of rotating them. The hip slide is the most common amateur power leak that nobody talks about. Hips should rotate around the spine, not slide toward the target. A lateral slide of more than 3 inches, about the length of a golf ball plus a tee, robs the swing of rotational power and produces a block right or a pull hook, depending on how the hands compensate. The fix is the wall drill. Set up to a wall with your lead hip touching it lightly at address. During the swing, the lead hip should rotate away from the wall, not push against it. If you feel the wall through impact, you are sliding. Mistake 12, decelerating through impact. The defensive swing is instinctive when you are scared of where the ball is going. Deceleration kills the face rotation that squares the club face, which means the ball flies dead right for a right-handed slicer. Acceleration is mandatory at impact, period. The fix is mental more than physical. Pick a target 30 yards beyond your actual target and swing toward that point. Your subconscious will accelerate naturally toward the further target. Mistake 13. Looking up before impact. Your head leads your spine leads your shoulders pull the club offline. Looking up before the ball is gone is one of the most measurable damages you can do to a swing. The fix is to keep your eyes on the spot where the ball was for one full count after impact. 1001. Then look up. Tiger Woods does a version of this on every swing. Watch any close-up of his impact position. His eyes are still down well after the ball has left. Mistake 14. Watching the ball flight instead of finishing the swing. The reverse problem to looking up early. Some amateurs do hold their head down at impact, but then immediately abandon the finish to watch where the ball goes. The abandoned finish causes the club decelerate post-impact, which actually starts the deceleration before impact because the body anticipates the stop. Hold the finish position until the ball lands. Count to 3 in your follow-through. The ball is gone and watching it does not bring it back. Mistake 15. Aiming at the center of the fairway. This is the strategic mistake that compounds every swing flaw on this list. The average amateur fairway is roughly 30 yards wide. The average amateur driver dispersion, meaning the spread between your best and worst drives, is roughly 50 yards. The Monfath says you cannot fit your dispersion inside a fairway you aim at the center of. The fix is to aim at the side of the fairway opposite your miss. If you slice, aim at the left edge. If you draw, aim at the right edge. Doubles your effective fairway width that covers the swing. The next group is the 5 equipment mistakes that cost you yards no swing change can recover. Mistake 16, using the wrong shaft flex. A shaft that does not match your swing speed is fighting you on every shot. An X-stiff shaft in 85 miles per hour hands cannot load properly and produces blocks right. A regular flex in 5 miles per hour hands loads too much and produces hooks. The shaft flex chart is roughly this: senior or a flex for swing speeds under 80 per hour, regular flex for 80 to 95 miles per hour, stiff for 95 to 105 miles per hour, X-type for 105 miles per hour and above. Most amateurs play one flex too stiff because the pro shop assumed they swing harder than they do. A mismatched shaft costs 15 to 20 yards of carry distance. Mistake 17. Driver loft set too low. Most amateurs play 9.5-degree drivers because they associate low loft with distance, the way tour pros play it. The launch monitor data says the opposite. A 90 miles per hour driver swing speed needs roughly 10.5 to 11.5 degrees of loft to achieve the best launch conditions of 13 to 14 degrees launch angle and 2400 to 2600 RPM spin. Most amateurs at 9.5 degrees of loft are launching at 9 to 10 degrees with 3200 RPM of spin, which is too low and too spinny. The fix is 1 to 2 more degrees of loft, adds 8 to 12 yards of carry instantly. Costs $0 if you have an adjustable driver and have not touched the hosel. Mistake 18, not adjusting the driver's adjustable hosel. The little tool that came with your driver was not a gift. The hosel adjustment changes loft, lie angle, and face angle, and the weights on the sole change the center of gravity to bias the club toward a draw or fade. Most amateurs never touch any of these. I am one of those amateurs. For the first 6 years I owned an adjustable driver. The fix took 15 minutes at home with the tool and a YouTube video for my specific driver model. Cost was $0, result was 6 yards more carry and a tighter dispersion. Mistake 19. Using a 46-inch shaft when you cannot control it. Modern drivers come standard at 45.5 to 46 inches because tour pros can handle them. Tour pros average 113 miles per hour clubhead speed and have years of practice controlling a long shaft. Most amateurs would hit it longer with a 44.5-inch shaft. The shorter shaft produces better center contact, which trumps any swing speed loss from the shorter length. MyGolfSpy did a test on this in 2022 that showed amateurs gained an average of 14 yards of carry by going from a 46-inch driver to a 44.5-inch driver. Same head, same swing, different shaft length. A club fitter can cut your driver shaft for roughly $40. Mistake 20. Wearing a glove that is too tight. The glove that felt right when you bought it 2 years ago has shrunk after 100 rounds of sweat and washing. A glove that is too tight restricts the natural rotation of your lead hand through impact, which kills face squaring and produces a slice. The fix is to replace the glove every 30 to 40 rounds and to size it so it feels snug at the palm but not constricting at the knuckles. You should be able to close your hand into a fist without the glove fighting you. If you cannot, it is too small. The next group is the 5 pre-shot and practice mistakes that pull the whole system apart. Mistake 21. Skipping the pre-shot waggle. The waggle is not a nervous tick. It is a tension release mechanism that lets your forearms relax before the swing begins. Every tour pro on the planet has a personal waggle pattern. Most amateurs skip it because they think it looks like indecision. Adding 2 to 3 small waggles before your driver swing reduces forearm tension by a measurable amount, which restores 5 to 8 miles per hour of clubhead speed. Mistake 22. Practicing only on flat range mats. Range mats lie to you. The mat lets your club skid slightly behind the ball without penalty, which means you can hit fat shots and never know it. Real fairways punish that exact strike pattern. The fix is to hit driver off real grass whenever possible. If your range only has mats, find a public course with a grass tee. A driver hit off mat is not the same shot as a driver hit off grass. The angle of attack changes, the spin changes, the launch changes. Practicing only on mats is like training for a marathon on a treadmill. The pavement teaches different lessons. Mistake 23. Tension in the trail elbow at address. Most amateurs lock their trail elbow at address to feel powerful. The locked elbow forces the takeaway to be a lifting motion instead of a turning motion. The fix is to feel the trail elbow slightly soft and tucked toward the trail rib at address. The arm should feel like a loaded spring, not a steel rod. The biomechanics of a proper takeaway require some elbow flex from the start. Lock it and you fight the swing from the first inch. Mistake 24. Same swing speed regardless of conditions. Into a 15 miles per hour headwind, most amateurs swing harder, thinking they need more power to fight the wind. The opposite is true. Swinging harder adds more backspin, which makes the ball balloon up into the wind and lose more distance. The fix is to swing softer into wind. Less spin beats more speed when fighting wind. Take one more club than you think and swing at 80% effort. The ball flies lower, drives through the wind, and finishes closer to the green than the 100% swing did. Mistake 25. This is the one I think costs amateurs more strokes than the other 24 combined. Skipping the warm-up swing with the driver before the round. The first tee shot is statistically the worst struck shot of the round for the average amateur, according to Arccos data on shot dispersion by hole position. The reason is that nearly every amateur warms up his irons, hits a few wedges, putts for 10 minutes, and then steps onto the first tee and pulls a driver he has not swung once that day. The first tee is also the most pressure-loaded shot of the round because everyone is watching. Cold muscles plus maximum tension plus a club you have not warmed up with equals a slice into the trees on the right. The fix takes 90 seconds and is something I learned from a teaching pro at a course in Scottsdale 4 years ago. Before you leave the practice tee, hit 3 driver swings without a ball. Just 3, slow, smooth. Focusing on tempo, not power, then walk to the first tee. The 3 dry swings activate the same muscle groups you will use on the first tee shot, which means your body has rehearsed the movement within the last 4 minutes. The activation effect lasts roughly 8 to 10 minutes before the muscles cool down again, which is exactly the window you need to walk from the range to the first tee, mark your scorecard, and step into your shot. My first tee fairways hit percentage went from roughly 32% to roughly 61% across 30 rounds after I added the 3 driver warm-up swings. The fix cost nothing. The improvement was the single biggest single stat change I have ever tracked on my handicap log. There is a way all 25 of these stack together. The driver is the most position-sensitive club in your bag, which means small mistakes get amplified into big results. Fix the setup mistakes first because they make the swing mistakes worse. Fix the swing mistakes next because they make the equipment mistakes matter less. Fix the equipment mistakes last because the right swing in the wrong club still works better than the wrong swing in the right club. Pick 5 of these 25 to focus on for the next 3 rounds, just 5. Track your fairways hit on the back of your scorecard. The number will move. The driver does not have to be the club you fear on the first tee. It can be the club that sets up every birdie chance you get. Go play.